Hello, it's Jackie with Panama Relocation Tours, and thank you so much for joining us for our Saturday live stream. Today, in a little bit, I'll be introducing our guest, Jolynn, who's going to talk about her move to Panama and also some extensive dental work that she's had done, like getting implants. I haven't had implants done in Panama, so I can't talk about that, and so many ask us, so I wanted to invite someone that has had that done. But before I get started on the talk with Jolynn about having her implants, I just wanted to make a couple of announcements for the benefit of those that are new to our channel. So my name's Jackie Lang. I'm the owner of Panama Relocation Tours, which I started in 2010, quite by accident. I came here with my husband to Panama and decided we were going to move here. When I started telling friends that we were going to move to Panama, then they said, well, I've been thinking about moving overseas, and why did you pick Panama, and where did you go, and how did you do it, how did you get a visa, and all those kind of things. So they were asking a lot of questions, and I just did one little tour for 8 real estate investor friends, and then that led into other people asking about me doing tours for them, and before I knew it, my tour company was born. It was not the plan, but God had other plans for me to start this tour business. So since 2010, right now we're doing tour number 206. So 206 all-inclusive 6-day, 7-night relocation tours, and we've helped thousands of people have a smooth move to Panama. That's what our tours are all about. It's not about touristy things. We don't go hiking in the rainforest. You don't even get to go to the Panama Canal or the Biodiversity Museum. What you need to know when you come on our tours is, how do you move here the right way? How do you get a visa? How do you buy a car? How do you get your pets here? How do you find a rental? How do you get health insurance? So our tours teach you all of those important things that you need to know so that when you do move here, you can move with confidence. Also knowing that we, either me or the tour guides that you're going to have during the tour, that they're going to be right there to help you have a smooth move to Panama. So that's what relocation tours are all about, is to help you have a smooth move. So you can get more information on our website at panamarelocationtours.com. I think I have that on a banner over here. Let me go look and see. Yep, right here. PanamaRelocationTours.com is our website, and you can get more information about our tours, private tours, and our online guide there. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce our guest, Jolynn. And I should also let you know that Jolynn is one of our tour guides for all-inclusive tours. So Jolynn, thank you so much for joining us today. And before we get started in talking about dental work, which was the main topic of this, let's just talk about Jolynn moving to Panama. So why in the world did you pick Panama, and where do you live, and why did you pick that area? So tell us a little bit about Jolynn.
Well, in 2021, I took a tour, and I made a decision when I got to Boquete that might be the right spot for me. I chose Panama for, I think, a lot of the obvious reasons. They use the same currency, stable government, better quality of life definitely was a big issue for me, and also much more affordable. And something I realized when I got here that I didn't have back in Chicago, which is where I'm originally from, and that was a sense of community. I have found that here. I thought I wanted to be by the beach. I really did, because I love the water. I love to swim. But when I realized how warm it would be 365 days a year, I thought that's a little bit much. And also I know about, the saltwater erosion and some of the things that come along with beach living. And when I got to Boquete, I thought, this is a nice mix. It's not a super slow town. So coming from Chicago, for me, it was a good segue. So I ended up here. Originally, I actually moved to Alto Lino. And just recently, literally like a week ago, I moved to Alto Boquete. So I'm here in Alto Boquete, and truly, truly, I have to say, loving my life, definitely.
So as a tour guide for the tours, and you've been doing tours with us for, I don't know, more than a year now. So you've done a lot of tours. You've done a lot of tours. You've met hundreds of people. And don't
True.
you find that that happens quite often, that people that say, oh, I got to live at the beach, and then they go there and they experience and they change their mind, or people that go, I'm going to live in Boquete, and they get there and they say, maybe not, and then they want to go to a different area. So it's
Yes.
really good to come to Panama without preconceived ideas on where you're going to move to. Some people want to do that, and we offer private tours for people that absolutely want to do that. But it's good to just experience a lot of different areas. And then you just, it's just no matter where you are in the world. I remember my husband and my dad were in the military, and we moved almost every single year. And we'd have to go be looking for a house to buy. And sometimes just as soon as you drove up to the driveway, you knew, this is the place. This is the one. It's just that feeling in your heart. You just have this feeling that it's the right place. And you can drive all over Panama and you might not find that right place until you do.
Very true. Very true. I have to say, the great thing about Panama Relocation Tours is the fact that no matter how much you research, nothing takes the place of boots on the ground. You have to see this country, smell it, taste it, feel it, really experience it. And you have to go to different spots. Like we always say, definitely rent first, because you might find Boquete to be chilly, or you might find that during the dry season, it's too windy. So you really do have to give yourself that flexibility of renting first, trying it out for 3 months, maybe even 6, when you can get a feel for the wet season and the dry season and sort of move around. So definitely, this is what the tour helps to do.
It helps with, and that advice to rent first, I can't stress how important that is, because some people can come here in January and it's going to be a little bit windy, and most of Panama it's going to be a little bit windy in January, because this is perfect, I have a nice ocean breeze and everything's great. But then October, November get here, whenever it's just pouring down rain for 4 hours a day, and it's completely different. Or they'll come in September and they think, this is perfect, but then they experience the wind in January and it's not. So it's really important, I think, to wait at least a year before you even think about buying anything. And there's no rush. You don't have to buy anything. You might decide the whole time you live in Panama to just be a renter and try different areas. As you know, I live in Boquete, but I've been getting a lot of inquiries about, well, what's it like to live in Uvalle? And I've never lived here. My daughter lived here, but I've never lived here. So I decided to come and spend a couple of months here and just see what it's like to live here, so I can tell people the difference between living in Boquete and living in Uvalle. And some people might want to do that, live in one place for a while, like you did, Alto Lino, now live in Alto Boquete for a little while. There's a difference between those two areas. There's so many different microclimates in Panama that it can be very different. So when you moved to Panama, because you came on a Panama relocation tour, you were armed and ready and trained, and you knew exactly what to do. But even then, there can be some challenges that people have. So were there things that you felt that were overwhelming whenever you first got to Panama, or any challenges that you had?
There are always challenges. For me, to be quite honest, nothing was really overwhelming, because I really did try and come here with a sense of open-mindedness, open heart, and really just tried to leave my North American expectations back in Chicago, because I knew, having traveled to different places before, different countries, Europe, Norway, I knew this was going to be very different. I was not afraid about the idea of learning the language. I just thought that would be fun. As far as challenges, it really depends on what area I think you are in Panama. For me in Boquete, I realized early on that I'd have to wear more practical shoes, because the sidewalks aren't even, and sometimes they sort of disappear. Sometimes the tile, if it's wet,
leave those great big high heels at home. You don't need them there.
Exactly. There were things like that. For me, I really had to have, I had to really work on myself in terms of insects. In Chicago, we don't have scorpions, we don't have snakes, we don't have really big spiders. So these were things I really had to sort of make my peace with, because depending on the area, you know, the more foliage you're around, the more greenery, you're going to have these types of things. And you have to deal with that. But nothing has made me feel like I can't deal with this, I can't handle it. As a matter of fact, I'm proud of myself for sort of getting over some of my phobias about bugs and things. So, you know, it's actually been quite a journey and I've enjoyed it. So it's a little difficult for me to say if there's anything I dislike or found so challenging that I wouldn't want to be here.
Yeah, I just want to pop something up here on the screen. It's from Anita Williams. She says, "Hey, Jolynn, our November 18th tour guide along with Jay. We had a fantastic time. Thank you, and Jay, for all the information about Panama." So,
Hi, you're so welcome.
yeah, so we get so many great comments about your tours. So. So you've only been in Alto Boquete for a short period of time. Why did you decide to move? And have you noticed in just 1 week, have you noticed any big significant differences between Alto Lino and Boquete, which is one little neighborhood area? And maybe it's a little bit higher elevation than Alto Boquete.
Yes,
yeah.
And that was the thing. Alto Lino is absolutely beautiful. It's a little more quiet because it's a little removed from town, but only by about 5-6 minutes by car.
Right.
It is higher in elevation, so therefore it is cooler, it is chillier. We get the Baja Reki up there, which is beautiful, but we also get a lot of wind. And I was in a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, which I absolutely loved. But I decided, you know, since I'm truly making Boquete my home, I wanted a little bit more room. So through networking, something we do talk about on the tour as well, I was able to find a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and I wanted slightly warmer. So for me, I'm always chilly. So I thought this would be a happy medium. And so far, just in the week or so that I've been here, it has been a little different in a good way. So although I love Alto Lino, I think I'm really liking Alto Boquete as well.
Yeah. So Monique had asked, you know, what's the name of the town? So the town that Jolynn lives in is actually part of Boquete. But then within Boquete, there's a lot of different little neighborhoods. Alto Lino is where she used to live. That's Lino. And now she lives in Alto Boquete. Baja Boquete is the downtown part, which is down in the valley. It's a lower elevation. Alto Boquete is a little bit higher elevation. So the cool thing about Panama is you can literally pick your ideal temperature based on the elevation. You know, if you go from 3,500 feet to 4,500 feet, there's going to be a difference of about 5 degrees, 4 to 5 degrees in the temperature. And then if you go to, 5,500 feet, then it's going to be even cooler. So, and sometimes you just don't know what's right. I remember a couple that came on our tour about 9 years ago, Steve and Maria Swanson. They live in Santa Lucia right now. Originally, they moved to Los Molinos, which is about 15, 20 minutes south of Boquete, about halfway between Boquete and David. And it's beautiful there. They thought, this is it. And they shipped a 40-foot container and they moved there. And he said, it's too hot. So they moved to Alto Lino, where you moved to. And she said, it's too cold. And then they moved to Santa Lucia, which is kind of halfway between the two. And now they're in a place and they've been there a long time and it was just right. So that's another reason to not rush into buying, because it might be too hot, it might be too cold, might be too windy. And it takes a while to find that sweet spot. It just takes a while to find the sweet spot of where you want to be. So that's another reason maybe to just sign when you first move there, is 3-month lease or 6-month lease. So you're only obligated for a short period of time instead of a whole year. So that you can move at the end of it. If the neighbor's dogs are barking, or it's too hot or too cold or too windy, or for whatever reason, then you have a lot more flexibility if you sign a short-term lease. So you're doing all the things we taught you to do, and that's great. And I'm glad that you're happy in your new place. You got a lot more room.
Yes.
a lot more room.
Very
And I like the Alto Boquete area because it's like a little town in itself, that there are
Mhm.
several grocery stores, there's hardware stores, there's restaurants. I like the Gagu, which is like our gourmet grocery store. So it has a lot of things that you don't even have to go into downtown Boquete because there's
That's
so many things that are available right in Alto Boquete.
Yes, yes. And also the fact that actually I could probably walk into town if I wanted to from where I am in Alto Boquete.
Yeah,
So I'm actually a
absolutely.
little closer to town. So it's just a happy medium that I have found so far. So good. It works.
Yeah. So thanks for sharing your information about moving to Panama and moving a second time after you got here. And all the
Yes.
information that you gave is the same thing we tell on the tours, but it's really good advice is keep an open mind and don't rush into, buying a house. Just rent something 3 months or 6 months in one area and then try out a different area, perhaps for 3 months or 6 months and then decide which one do you like the best. So,
Very.
so you mentioned that you found, but we're going to get to the dental part in just a little bit, folks. But I know that I see some questions coming in about finding rentals. So when you found your first rental in Alto Lino, was that by word of mouth or did you use one of our recommended real estate agents?
Actually, the very first person that I met when I got off the plane for the tour in February of 2021 was a lady who ended up becoming my landlord. So I am a huge proponent of networking along with the suggested real estate agents that you have in the guide. I say do them both. Networking has served me well.
Yeah.
I was speaking to the lady thinking that she was coming from the States, also taking the tour, but she was coming from the States having visited her kids and grandkids, and she was coming back home. That's what she said, home to Boquete. And my ears sort of perked up, and we had a 20-minute conversation before PRT actually picked me up to take me to the hotel. And in that, she gave me her cell phone number, her WhatsApp number, and I gave her mine. And she said, if you're staying after the tour, I'd be happy to come get you and take you around. And I actually did end up staying about 9 days after the tour. And true to her word, she came and took me around. I actually also went in that short period of time to the Tuesday market and I met Crystal Culp, who did the same thing. She said, I'm happy to take you around. So between these two ladies, by the time I went home in 9 days, I already had 3 choices of places to live. And I chose the place that the lady that I met at the airport had. So when
Right.
I went back to Chicago, I was able to just pack up things knowing I had a place to live. And when I got back here in April, because I took the tour in February and I moved in April, same year, she was right there to pick me up. And for me, things have been really outstandingly wonderful ever since.
Yeah. That sounds like one of those destiny kind of things.
I
Yeah.
think so. I
Yeah,
think so. I
turning
call it
into that
divine
person.
intervention.
So, a lot of people, they come to Panama for tourism, medical tourism, to have medical work done, dental work done, because it's so much more affordable in Panama. And maybe whenever you moved to Panama, you'd already planned on holding off on any expensive dental work in the United States and waiting and having it done in Panama. So,
Exactly.
tell us about your experience with having dental work done in Panama. What did you have done? What did it cost? How long did it take? All those kind of things.
Certainly. Well, back in Chicago, I went to the dentist and they said, you have a couple of teeth that probably need to be removed. And I said, fine, I'm interested in implants. And they said, well, with your age, rather than just doing 2 implants, we suggest removing all your top teeth because that's where the 2 teeth were that needed to come out.
That sounds
And
painful.
yeah, I was not really feeling that, if you will. But
Mhm.
that's what they suggested, and I asked why, and they said, well, as you age and other teeth become a problem, that way you don't have to worry about it. They're just all gone, and you'll get one of those 4-on-1 or implants. And I said, well, how much is it? And they said, oh, $25,000. And I thought, that's a lot of money to remove my top teeth. And, you know, you have to think about the fact that all of my top teeth were not bad at all. So they would probably have to be surgically removed because they're not ready to just fall out of my head. So that 25,000 did not include whatever procedures or services I would need prior to the actual implant procedure.
Wow.
So I said, fine, just pull the two. And they pulled four. And unfortunately for me, they were upper teeth and they weren't in the back of my head. My only saving grace was it was still COVID and we had to wear masks.
Uh-huh.
So that was my saving grace. And I just said, you know what, I'm going to Panama and I'm going to trust that I can get this done for a much more affordable cost. And about a week after I got here, I actually ended up having a dental emergency because in Chicago, they had given me, I forget what you call it. I think it's like a crown or something to replace the missing teeth, and said, you know, you need to eat in it, sleep in it. You know, you really need to wear this all the time. And when I got here, I did, but I ended up having problems. So I went emergency really quickly to a dentist here, and she examined me. We found no infection, but she wanted to be sure because she knew we had a conversation about me wanting implants. So she wanted to make sure that my gums were healthy. So she sent me to a periodontist in David, a young dentist who had trained in the United States. Perfect English, amazing job. She numbed me very good and said, no signs of infection, but you want implants, let's clean your teeth, make sure we get up in those gums to keep those gums healthy, because your gums and your bones have to be strong enough to keep an implant in. And so she did that, and the whole cost of that with at that point, I wasn't quite a resident, but the whole cost of that was $350. Now, some people might say, well, that sounds like a lot for cleaning, but this was not your general cleaning. This was your very deep cleaning in which they numb your gums, and she really goes up there and makes sure that everything is clean. You actually have to allow some healing time after that, you know, a good 2 to 3 weeks. So that $350 not only included her general consultation and assessment, but the actual procedure. And then, if I'm remembering correctly, at least 2 follow-up visits to make sure everything was healing properly. And it did. So I was perfectly ready to receive those implants. So when I got back to Boquete, again, speaking to the general dentist, she said, well, I have a specialist in Panama City, but he comes to Boquete once a month, and I will set up an appointment for you to speak to him, and he will do it right in the office. So I never had to go to Panama City or even to David. I was able to have this done right here in Boquete. And he did come. We had a conversation about it, and he said, okay, well, you know, I want a little bit more healing time from your cleaning, so we'll set up an appointment. So the next appointment was maybe a couple of weeks later. I went back and he said, are you ready? And I said, ready for what? And he said, well, for the procedure. And I was not expecting to be ready that quickly, but I have to say, the person who took me, because I don't have a car, so I was taken into town, before they got home and settled, and keep in mind, this was now my next door neighbor, the lady I just told you about. So she was home within 7 minutes. She was not home for 30 minutes when I was able to call her and say, I'm done, completely done. He did such an excellent job. I actually was able to go out to dinner the following night.
So what exactly did he do during that? Because getting implants is a multi-step process. So that first dentist you went to, they did a deep cleaning, and then this other doctor, what is the, don't they have to like pull all your teeth and then they do something else? I don't know what the procedure is for getting implants.
Well, what he did, I was only getting implants for the 4 teeth that were removed. So he literally has, it's like a titanium screw, and he literally screws that into the gum, into the bone. But first, of course, he does numb you, give you lots of Novocaine. And he told me every step of the way what I would feel, smell, taste, if anything, all of that, so that there were no surprises along the way. And he put the first one in, and it's literally like, I hate to say it, but like a screwdriver. They kind of screw it up into the bone. He makes sure everything's clean. Then he tests it. I guess there is a piece of equipment he has that actually grabs hold of that titanium screw, and he makes sure that it does not come out. So all you feel is pressure. Through this whole thing, I never felt pain whatsoever. Just the pressure of tugging, and it was securely
And
up
you
there.
were planning to do this on all of your upper teeth, is that correct?
No, I just needed the 4 that were removed in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
The rest of my teeth were fine, and he agreed that it did
Because
not make sense.
the doctor in Chicago wanted to take out everything on the top, and the doctor from Panama, they were less aggressive, and they said just those 4.
Just the 4 that were missing. So once he did that, then he capped it, because keep in mind, when you're, inserting something into your gum and the bone, that leaves an opening in your gum. And he made sure everything was clean, medicated, and he capped it so that nothing could get in. And he did that for all 4 teeth. And at one point, I thought he had only done 2 of the teeth, because it happened so quickly. And he said, no, we're done. I've done all 4. And I was able to see the cap in the top of the gum, just a little white cap there. It looks almost like a baby tooth that hasn't come out. And, he suggested, okay, take a Tylenol and an Aleve. He gave me a schedule for taking it. But I never had to. I just never had pain. I had no swelling. There was no bleeding, which was amazing, because every time I've ever been to the dentist for any kind of invasive procedure, there's always, some bleeding of the gums. There was hardly any bleeding whatsoever. And like I said,
what did it cost to get the 4 implants? What did it cost?
So the actual cost was $6,000, and I sort of figured out, okay, how much would that be if I had done the $25,000 per tooth? And if my memory serves me correctly, it came out to I think $1,650 or $25 per tooth, which meant if I had only done the 4 in Chicago, it would have been $6,250. Here it was $6,000. And so I thought, well, is that really a savings? But then I realized, here I'm self-insured. I do not have insurance. And even if you do have insurance, it does not cover dental. So I'm not paying any insurance. I didn't have to pay any co-pays. I could pay, if I wanted to, I could have paid the whole $6,000 at the end, because you have several months before that titanium screw is actually healed and solidly in the bone. And that gives you 4 to 6 months to garner your funds if you don't have them at the ready. Or I could pay a little bit then, a little bit later. So I chose to pay half in the beginning, and I was able to pay half at the end. And the whole procedure took, in my case, I think I started it, I want to say it was September, it might have been October. And my goal was to have all this done by the following May, which was my birthday. And it was all done by the end of January. I had the teeth. I went back, and he had molded the teeth. And they try and color match your teeth, because everybody's teeth changes as you get older. And they try and color match it. And they actually make the mold of the teeth that you have lost. And I told him, I said, I want them to look like my teeth, not, so even that perhaps it looks like a denture. And he did. And literally, they just kind of screw it up in there and secure it. And that was the beginning of 2022. And I have not had an issue since. Everything is paid for. There were no additional charges. There were no bills that followed me later. Nothing. That was it. Clean and simple.
And that cost that you paid, that included all the different follow-up visits. It included the, I guess you call it a crown that they put on there, the anesthesia, all of those.
Yes, it included everything: the anesthesia, the crown, the teeth, the titanium screw, the actual service, the procedures, absolutely everything.
Is there
it was kind of a one and done.
After you get implants, do you have to do like annual tune-ups or anything, touch-ups or tune-ups to it, or just for them to check on things?
Just your regular dental checkups. I actually have not been back to the dentist since I've had it done. I probably need to go and, just have an annual cleaning or something, but they show you how to floss. It's a little bit different simply because there is a tiny, tiny bit of space between the top of the new tooth and your gum because it's on a screw. So they kind of show you how to floss to make sure everything stays clean, and that's it. That is it. Yeah. I was amazed.
Well, and the fact that you didn't have any pain, you didn't have any bleeding, and
Yes.
That you had a good experience. That's amazing. I have heard of people in Panama that they've had implants done and it was only $500 per tooth to have their implant, but I don't know that the $500 included, what all was included in the $500, and maybe they didn't have quite as good of an experience as you did. So, just like anything in Panama, it's a good idea to get recommendations, maybe from people that have had an implant done. Who'd you go to? How was your experience? And we have some excellent dentists in Panama. And like you said, many of them were trained in the United States or in Spain, besides all their training that they got here in Panama. So we do have healthcare, dentists, all those things are very excellent here in Panama. So I'm glad you had such a great experience.
I really did. I really did. I have absolutely no regrets about doing it. And as I mentioned, I was actually able, before they actually completed the full process, to go out to dinner the following night. And that was something that normally you cannot do because you've got an open space in your gum. So you're, relegated to having soup or something liquid. But yes. Yeah. One thing I did forget to mention too, that I was very impressed by this dentist, this specialist. He just happened to have come back from the States. He would go periodically to a suburb near Chicago called Schaumburg, because this was where the implant material that they actually make the teeth from, and it happens to be one of the top products for making implants across the world. I mean, they even use this in Chicago, and I just found it ironic that he knew about Schaumburg, Illinois, which is only about 45 minutes from Chicago, and went there because he was the Panamanian sales rep for this product. And he was always doing continuing education about different procedures and services related to implants and crowns and anything dental. So for me, that was one of the reasons why I went ahead and went with him, because I liked the fact that he was up on the latest procedures.
Right. So, I've got to tell you a little story. Before I left Texas, because we were still under my husband's insurance plan, which included dental care, I went to a dentist and he said, oh, we need to pull this tooth and that tooth and do crowns here and do crowns and do all these different things. And it was gonna, and it was gonna be paid for with the insurance that I had, but I was getting ready to move to Panama and I just wouldn't. I said, I'm just gonna wait and have it done in Panama. And I went to a dentist in Panama and they did, the x-ray thing that goes around your head and checked everything. He said, no, you don't need to have any of that work done. It just doesn't need to be done. It's not necessary. So makes you wonder, the dentist that you saw was recommending, let's pull everything and put implants in the whole top, when it really wasn't necessary.
Not at all.
Not at all. but
Yeah.
they were going to make more money by doing it that way. And that's one of the things I appreciate about the doctors and the dentists is they're not going to say do these things just because they're going to make more money. They're going to only do what's necessary to take care of everything that needs to be done.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So someone asked, what's the name of your dentist that you went to?
So I actually went to Dr. Luz Barria. She's right in Boquete, but she is the general dentist who did the initial exam, and she's the one that suggested Dr. Blanco, who is the specialist that came in from Panama City. And so he does his work in Dr. Luz's office, which is right in town.
Yeah. And spending there's certainly dentists that you could have gone to that it would have been less expensive, but the
Probably.
experience might not have been quite as good as the one that you had. So sometimes going, and I've heard of people that they'll go to Colombia, they'll go to Mexico to get their dental work done because it's going to be a little bit cheaper. But then you have the expense of flying there, you got the expense of staying in a hotel and eating out, and you can't sleep in your own bed, so you don't sleep quite as well. So, there's, even though it might be cheaper in some other places, or even if you would have gone to a different dentist in Panama City, you would have been able to have had it done cheaper, but you wouldn't have the convenience of having it done right in the town where you live and everything. So there's the convenience, which is worth a lot of money also.
Yes, and that was very important for me because I didn't have a car. So, having to pay to get to Panama City and probably having to go back several times for consultations afterwards, checkup afterwards, and then,
Right.
Having the actual teeth put in after everything heals, that all adds up. And it might not have added up to 6,000, but I have to say that for me, it was worth every penny, and it sure beat 25,000.
Yeah, definitely beat it. So you said that they put the screws in and they put in the temporary that went over that, and then you had to wait for how long before they put the permanent on?
Well, it's really individual, depends on how fast you heal. For me, actually, it was a good solid 4 months, but they do like it if you can wait 4 or 5 months to really make sure that the bones heal, because the gums heal very quickly. And that's why they capped the opening where they put the implant in so that the gum doesn't quite close up. It's the bone that really has to literally fuse with that titanium screw so that it is truly anchored into your jaws, your head. And that's what takes time. So depending on how fast people heal, if you have health issues that might keep you from healing quickly, these are the kinds of things that they really will talk with you about and want to prior to you doing this, because sometimes people aren't always eligible for implants.
Right. So Gerald was asking, so if you're going to have implants done, how long would you have to stay in country? So your initial cleaning, that was one thing. And then the actual implants, that was done in one day. But then you have to come back 3, 4, 5 months later to have the final part of it done. So it's not a kind of a procedure that you can just come and stay for a week and have everything done all at once. There has to be 3 to 4 month time frame in the middle whenever you give your mouth time to heal after having those screws put in, which sounds kind of, you don't ever feel any pain from that?
No, none whatsoever. And I was really shocked. I forgot to mention
ice cream, it doesn't make it cold or anything?
No, no,
No,
no. It's actually pretty interesting. In the States, several years back, I did have one implant. I forgot to mention that. And it was the same process. They put the screw in. They have to wait a few months for that to heal. Then they actually put the tooth on, and it came out. And the dentist had moved and gone to an entirely another state. So, and I had paid, I think at that time, it was at that point like $1,500 for the tooth for one. So And now this is going on over a year, and I have no pain, nothing. I don't have any, kind of sensitivity. Because I think one of the things that they probably do, they might actually remove some of the nerve, so that there's no need for the nerve, because the nerve only nourishes a live tooth. But you don't have the live tooth anymore. You have an artificial tooth. So there's no need for that nerve to be there. So no,
Right.
there's no pain. There's no sensitivity to hot and cold. They're actually, implants are in better shape than the rest of my teeth. So I'm really pleased with it. It was one of the best things I've done.
I don't know, did they mention it to you? Somebody told me one time that they had implants done in Panama and that their dentist actually injected some stem cells in the area because that helped the whole thing heal a lot faster. Do you know if your doctor did that, or maybe they did it and they didn't even tell you about it?
I would say that they probably did not, simply because he was very fastidious about telling me everything he was doing. Even, when he was giving me the injections to start numbing the gum, that was the most painful part, is when they have to numb your gums and the roof of your mouth, or, wherever they're putting that implant, they have to numb that area. And he made sure I was good and numb. So he would have probably told me, but I healed really fine. So everything was good.
That's good. Well, and someone asked, did you need bone grafting? I don't even know what that is, but did you need to have that done?
No, I did not. It's simply where they take bone from another part of your mouth or your body or someplace and literally graft it onto the area. I did not have that done. And that's part of the consultation. They test to make sure your bones are strong enough that no bone graft is needed, or if there is, whether or not they can do it. That's something that when you're having your consultation, they're going to go through all of that with you, and even ask, if you want things done or if you don't want things done. So it's not an automatic, you need this because we say you need it and we're going to do it. It's really a relationship you build up with that dentist, that specialist.
Okay, someone asked me, could I do a show like this just on getting cataracts? And yeah, I can do that sometime, because I've had 3 eye surgeries since I've been here, including lens replacement. Maybe I can invite my ophthalmologist that did the surgery. So we'll plan that for another time. So if anybody has a question for Jolynn about getting dental implants or moving to Panama, if you would please put 3 question marks in front of your question so I can quickly and easily identify it as a question, because there's a lot of conversations going on over there and I don't know which ones are question for her and which one are not.
Okay.
So here someone says, I currently have full lower implants. Don't even ask how much I paid in the US. And for maintenance, I need the screws changed out yearly. What?
Wow.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that one.
Wow. Yeah.
Yes.
It sounds like a money grab to me. So I don't know.
That's interesting. When I do go for a checkup, I'll ask about that, but mine are firmly in my teeth. They're not loose at all. And like I said, I do have experience with one that was done in the States when it comes loose. So I know what that feels like, and they are firmly anchored in my head.
Yeah. I would think that, the more times that you put a screw in, take it out, put a screw in, take it out, it could damage the bones. So,
yeah, that seems a bit excessive, but maybe there's a special reason.
What you might want to do is visit, when you come to Panama, visit with a dentist in Panama and get their second opinion about this annual maintenance that needs to be done. So our Blazing World says, do you regret getting implants over dentures, or did you consider getting dentures even?
I never considered dentures because I did not want anything I would have to take in and out. And one of the things I did learn actually in the States from the dentist there was that dentures do cause eventual eroding of the gums. And it happens over time with everyone. And I did not want that, because I figured, as we get older, things are going to erode on their own. I don't want to help them out. and I figured I just would be better served with implants, and I'm very glad I did.
Yeah, implants are a lot more permanent, that's for sure.
Yes, yes.
Okay, Yinka has a question here. Not about dental, but it says, are there many hairdressers that cater to black hair, and that she loves your hair? I do too. You've got the most beautiful hair.
Thank you both. Yes, there are people who can do natural hair, and they can do all the different things that we love to do with our hair. So yes, that is possible and doable here.
Okay. And I know that you go to the same lady that I go to for my manicure and pedicure, and you have your eyebrows done. Did you say you get those eyelash extensions too? Was that you?
Yes.
Yes. I haven't gotten the courage to do that yet, but one of these days I'm going to do those extension thingies.
I love it. I never did it in Chicago, but I got here and I thought, why not? And I love it because now I don't have to buy mascara all the time or change it out. And sometimes wearing mascara, because you do want to take it off every time you use it, and if you're using it every day, you're literally, wiping your face and rubbing your eyes and rubbing your eyelashes. And so I have found I'm not doing that anymore. I don't have to. So yeah, I love it. Get it all done.
Yeah. One of these days I'm going to go to Ladies. That's the lady that we go to, Ladies, and have her give me some eyelash extensions too.
I think you'll like it.
Get the courage. I'll have to have a glass of red wine before I do it. Maybe that'll help. I don't know. Okay. Stephen says, hey, Jolynn, PRT 184, experience that great smile. Does the specialist go to other parts of Panama? Do they only do Panama City and Boquete, or do you know if your specialist goes to other areas in Panama as well?
I believe that he may go to other areas as well, but that is definitely something that, I can check on and find out.
Okay. Yeah. And even if that particular dentist doesn't go to other areas, there's dentists throughout the country.
Yes.
So you can usually find one. But just like anything else in Panama, you can go to a dentist and they can give you a plan, but it's good to come to Panama and to ask for recommendations of dentists, ask for recommendations, say, hey, have any of you had an implant done? Who did it? What was your experience like? So it's always a good idea, instead of you being the guinea pig, to go with someone that was recommended by someone.
Yes, totally agree.
Okay. This is not a question, but Jackie, so super. Okay. Thank you. I'm in Valle, and it's quite a bit warmer in Valle than it is in Boquete. So you dress a little bit differently in Valle than you would in Boquete. So good question from all my teeth are implants. All your teeth are implants. Wow. I've had them for about 10 years and only had one screw replaced once. I'm interested in getting a full set of implants. Do you have any idea what it would cost for a full set of implants? Did you ask him about? Well, he didn't recommend that you get any other implants, right? After looking at your x-rays, he said you just don't need that.
Yeah. No, I mean, the rest of my teeth were fine, other than cleaning or maybe a little cavity fill or something. I would say the only other thing that I would actually do would be to maybe do a veneer, because as I've gotten older, my natural teeth have gotten a little, darker than they used to be. But other than that, no. Mm-mm.
Yeah. So let me see. Another question from Debbie. I'm a dental hygienist. There are many implants, cheaper, quicker, not as good in Massachusetts. Regular implants like yours are about $5,000 a piece. So with your 4, yeah, and there would have been, prices just keep going up. So yes. $6,000 for 4 implants, that might seem like a lot, but whenever you add in that she hasn't had any problems, that it was done right in the town where she lived. She didn't have to do any traveling. The dentist is available to come back if necessary. That peace of mind is worth a little bit of extra money also.
It is. It is, definitely.
Yeah. So Jackie says, now that we've discussed eyelash extensions, I've wanted to ask for a long time, Jackie, how do you have that porcelain skin? I don't. Yeah, so whenever you're over 65, then the little wrinkles start coming and other little things, but I just keep on putting on more and more moisturizer every single night. That's what you have to do, is moisturize, moisturize. Whether you're living in Panama or any place else, it's good to have really good moisturizer.
That's true.
So Audrey says, I didn't book a tour, but not sure if we could come in June or January. So let me tell you the difference between June and January. June is a great time to come because the rainy season is sort of started, but we don't get very much rain in June. It just might rain in the late part of the evening, maybe after 4 or 5 o'clock. But things are starting to green up a little bit. If you come in January, it's not the rainy season. So things are going to be a little bit more brown, and it might be more windy in January. But they're great, but they're both really good times to come because you get to see a different part of Panama, you know, a different season in Panama. If you came in June, it would look one way. The very same place in January would look different. So either one are a good time to come. So here's a good question. Did the dentist tell you how long do implants last? So do they have to be replaced like every 10 years or 5 years, or they're just a permanent thing?
They're permanent, lifetime. Unless something, you know, happens out of the ordinary, they should last you a lifetime if it's done correctly. Okay.
Another question was, how long were your 4 teeth out before you did the implants?
They were out probably, felt like forever, probably a good 6 months or so. Because it was done before I came here. And then by the time I really got the nerve to do the implants, it was September and I got here in April. So yeah, somewhere around 6 months, I think.
You know, the fact that they were out 6 months actually gave you time for healing, though, also. So that's, so
yes,
it's really good. So, you know, someone's asking about what would the cost be for a full bridge or for, you know, all kinds of different things. Jolynn is not a dentist. Jackie is not a dentist. We have no idea. We're talking about Jolynn's experience getting implants, but we just don't know what it would cost. The best thing to do would be if you just Google Panama City, Panama dentist, you'll see a long list of them that will come up on Google. Google's your friend. And just, you know, send an email to some of them or WhatsApp and start asking some of the dentists. And if you ask 3 different people, you're going to get 3 different prices. But just ask some of the people before you ever get down here. Before you come to Panama, you can find out a rough idea of what it would cost to get a full bridge or to get dentures or to get all upper implants or all lower implants. But we only know about Jolynn's experience that she's sharing with us.
Right.
So what advice would you have for anybody that is thinking about getting implants, maybe where they are, and should they maybe consider coming down to Panama or talking to a dentist in Panama and comparing the price in Chicago of what it would cost compared to what it would cost in Panama? And maybe with the travel and everything else, it's not worth the difference, but maybe it is. So it wouldn't hurt to just contact some of the dentists in Panama and see what they would charge compared to what your out-of-pocket expense might be. You know, I remember one guy told me it was going to be like $75,000, and I think that was for his whole mouth to have implants. That's a chunk of change.
Yes.
Definitely a chunk of change, and I'm sure that that could be done for a whole lot less here in Panama. So it doesn't hurt. they're glad to take your questions, to either call or email. The best way to reach people in Panama is a WhatsApp. So here's a little tip for everybody on the call. Whenever you see a phone number in Panama and it might say 507, which is the country code, and then it has 7 digits after it, that means it's a landline. So you can't use WhatsApp for that. But when you see the 507, then you see a phone number that has 8 digits. Some people might think, oh, there's too many digits in this. It's not right. Well, all of Panama's cell phones have 8 digits. And if it has 8 digits, you can probably send a WhatsApp. So you're going to have to add them to your contacts. Make sure you put 507 in front, plus and a 507 in front of it, and then send a WhatsApp. And you can use Google Translate if they don't speak English to ask them what it would cost to get the dental work done that you want to do, and just compare where you are to what it would cost in Panama, and then only you can evaluate if it's worth the trip to come to Panama to have it done or not.
Yes.
So Jolynn, I want to thank you so much for sharing your experience about getting implants. I'm so glad that you had a pleasant experience and everything. You've got the most beautiful smile. So I'm glad that they did things that kept the smile beautiful, because you have just the most beautiful smile, and the implants. You'd never know in a million years looking at you that you got implants, and that's exactly what you wanted. You wanted it to look natural, so you got what you were looking for.
Yes,
and thank you so much for sharing your information, and thank you to everybody that joined us on this live stream on Saturday to hear about Jolynn's move to Panama and also experience with getting implants in Panama. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of your weekend. And Jolynn, enjoy the rest of your weekend and your time off before your next tour.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.